Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber Security Plus podcast. This series helps you prepare for the CompTIA Security Plus exam with focused explanations and practical context. For a companion study guide, check out the Achieve CompTIA Security Plus 701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. It is the most concise and complete Security Plus guide on the market, built for busy professionals who want to pass the exam fast and on their first try. You can find this book and others at cyberauthor.me. Cybersecurity, one of the hardest problems to solve, is figuring out whether something unusual is actually dangerous. Users log in, access files, and move data all day long, but when do those activities become threats? That's where User Behavior Analytics comes into play. Also known as UBA, User Behavior Analytics helps organizations detect abnormal activity by analyzing what's normal for each user. In this episode, we'll explore how UBA is implemented, how it identifies insider threats and advanced attacks, and how it integrates with other security controls to enhance overall visibility. So let's begin with what User Behavior Analytics is and how it works. At its core, UBA collects and analyzes data about user activity across systems. It looks at things like login frequency, login location, file access patterns, data transfers, email usage, and application behavior. Over time, the system builds a behavioral baseline for each user, essentially a profile of what normal looks like for that individual. When a user suddenly deviates from their normal pattern, the system flags the anomaly. For example, a user who normally logs in from one location during business hours might suddenly log in from another country in the middle of the night, or a staff member in human resources might suddenly start accessing engineering documentation. These behaviors may not be malicious on their own, but they are unusual enough to warrant further investigation. User Behavior Analytics is especially useful for detecting insider threats. Unlike external attackers who break in from outside, insiders already have access. They may be employees, contractors, or partners, and their actions often appear legitimate. UBA helps detect when that access is being used in abnormal or unauthorized ways. Let's consider a real-world example. A large enterprise implements a UBA platform that monitors employee logins, data access, and cloud usage. One day, the system detects that a user from the finance department has downloaded over 500 sensitive documents to a personal cloud storage account. This is well outside the user's normal behavior. The alert is escalated and the security team investigates. They discover that the employee was planning to leave the company and take proprietary data with them. Because the activity was flagged quickly, the organization is able to intervene before the data is lost. Another example comes from the education sector. A university deploys UBA to monitor student activity on shared lab systems. The system learns that students typically access certain folders, applications, and network resources. One student account begins running unusual scripts, accessing administrative file shares, and scanning for open ports. The UBA system alerts administrators who discover that the student was attempting to exploit lab systems as part of an unauthorized project. The activity is stopped, and the risk is neutralized. UBA systems can also detect compromised accounts. For example, if a user's credentials are stolen and used by an attacker, their behavior will likely deviate from the norm. UBA might notice login attempts from unusual locations, new applications being used, or rapid access to files outside the user's role. These signs can prompt a password reset, multi-factor authentication challenge, or account suspension. To be effective, User Behavior Analytics requires strong data collection and smart baselining. The system must pull activity logs from endpoints, identity providers, cloud services, and network infrastructure. It must also account for different job roles, departments, and seasonal workflows. For instance, a user in accounting might access payroll systems more frequently during month-end close periods. UBA platforms must be flexible enough to learn these patterns and avoid excessive false positives. Now let's move to the second half of our episode, integrating UBA with existing security controls. User Behavior Analytics does not work in isolation. Its power comes from being connected to the rest of the security environment. This includes tools like security information and event management systems, endpoint detection and response platforms, identity and access management systems, and threat intelligence feeds. When UBA integrates with a security information and event management system, it adds behavioral context to alerts. For example, a failed login attempt might seem minor, but if UBA shows that the user also attempted to access sensitive data and sent suspicious emails, the combined alert becomes high priority. Correlation between behavior and technical indicators helps analysts focus on real threats and reduce alert fatigue. UBA can also enrich endpoint monitoring. If an endpoint detection and response system detects a suspicious process, UBA can help determine whether that behavior fits the user's profile. This context improves decision-making and reduces false positives. Likewise, UBA can feed into identity management workflows. If a user's behavior suddenly changes, access to critical systems can be temporarily revoked or placed under enhanced monitoring. Let's take another real-world example. A healthcare organization integrates UBA with its cloud security and identity platforms. One afternoon, the UBA system detects that a nurse who normally works in one facility has logged into patient records from a different city. The system checks travel patterns, access logs, and recent behavior. There's no indication that the nurse should be working remotely. The alert is forwarded to the incident response team, who discover that the account was compromised through a phishing email. The account is locked, the session is terminated, and the attack is stopped. Another organization uses UBA to support compliance reporting. By demonstrating that user behavior is being monitored and anomalies are being addressed, the company can show auditors that data access is being controlled and insider threats are being managed. This reduces regulatory risk and helps fulfill requirements from standards like the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, the General Data Protection Regulation, and the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. One of the most important benefits of UBA integration is automation. Many platforms allow you to set thresholds, confidence levels, and response actions based on user behavior. For instance, you might configure your system so that if a user accesses a large number of confidential files and emails them externally, the account is automatically quarantined and flagged for review. This enables a faster response than waiting for manual review and escalation. However, automation must be applied carefully. False positives can result in business disruption or user frustration. That's why ongoing tuning, training, and collaboration between security teams and business units is essential. Policies should be clear, justified, and regularly reviewed. To summarize, user behavior analytics helps security teams detect threats that would otherwise go unnoticed. It works by building behavioral baselines and identifying deviations that may signal misuse, compromise, or malicious intent. UBA is particularly effective at detecting insider threats, compromised accounts, and advanced attacks that blend into normal workflows. When integrated with security information and event management systems, endpoint tools, and identity platforms, UBA adds rich context and enables more intelligent, automated responses. For the Security Plus exam, expect to see questions about what UBA does, how it differs from signature-based detection, and how it supports insider threat detection. You may be asked to evaluate a scenario involving unusual user behavior, or recommend the best response to a behavioral alert. Review terms like baseline deviation, anomalous activity, behavioral analytics, insider threat, and event correlation. They are likely to appear on the exam and are essential to real-world defense. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.